So the first adaptive mechanism I call the outsider. And the adaptive traits here are that I can do it on my own, or I should do it on my own. There is a sense of feeling that you are on the outside looking in. That's the outsider. And people tend to feel that they don't really fit in and they can't feel a sense of belonging. In this trait, people can tend to intellectualize a lot because fully feeling is a bit scary, so that the way they can disconnect is by reverting to their intellect. This adaptive mechanism arises because our very early needs, i.e. when we were very young, the needs for connection and welcoming into life was not adequately fulfilled. And do please remember, this is a dynamic, a feeling and a belief that we've held for many years and that we live with, but it is not the truth any longer. So there are routes to healing through discovering ourselves again and how much love is available to us now. That's the first one. Does this ring a bell for you?
Hello, I'm John, and I would like to say that these are called deep workshops for a reason. The work that you're exploring with Gaia is deep work, and you're on a journey to going deeper into yourself too here. Not that that has to require any effort. Just sitting back now and listening to Gaia talking can take you to a deeper place and into a different state. It can open your heart and the healing just starts happening naturally. So I'll pass you to Gaia now for your deep workshop. And remember that just by being here, the work is happening. Gaia.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our deep workshop. The title of our workshop today is The Need for Connection and Welcoming. We are exploring together the first one of the 5 survival strategies and their unmet needs. And before we start, let's take a moment to feel our presence right now, right here in this moment. You can do it by feeling your feet on the floor and the weight of your body where it meets the surfaces beneath your body. So if you're sitting, your chair or your sofa, or if you're lying, the surfaces supporting your body. Just notice the sense of weight. And as you allow that, just check what happens to the body. And you can notice your breathing coming and going. And maybe as you take the time, it slows down. And then notice the space that your body takes in your room and wherever you are. In these workshops, I always explore the possibility of full aliveness. Just notice right now what shows you that you are here now, alive, breathing, feeling. So the need for connection and welcoming is the first of the developmental core needs, and it is from conception to 6 months old. And this is how I summarized this exploration. When this need for connection and welcoming is not met, the survival strategy is to disconnect from your feelings and from others. And we end up doing it on our own. So the survival type is the outsider. And this is just a quick summary to introduce our exploration today. So as we develop, so from conception, from the moment of conception, this is the core need that needs to be satisfied for connection and welcoming. The lines I wrote to describe this need, what we need to feel at this stage, are these. I need to feel that I am welcome and wanted, and that I am safe in my body. Remember, this is our first experience of having a body, of being in a body. Clearly at the beginning in the uterus of our mother. So here these words again. I am welcome and wanted and safe in my body. And notice what you feel when you hear these lines. What strikes me is the developmental needs, of course, are experienced in a different way when we're babies and little ones. But when we go to what's at the core of it, to feel welcome and wanted, and to feel safe in our body, with our sensations and feelings, is still, of course, totally relevant in the present time as an adult. So I read that again. I am welcome and wanted and safe in my body. And check again what those words make you feel, what comes up. And it doesn't matter if the feeling is great or difficult. This is an exploration of what happens around this need. So just notice. And I like to read you a beautiful piece because it's so related to this feeling of being welcome and wanted and to this theme. It's a piece that I often read in my retreats and groups. So sit back and listen and feel. There is a story about a tribe in Africa where the birth date of a child is counted not from when they were born, nor from when they are conceived, but from the day that the child was a thought in its mother's mind. And when a woman decides that she will have a child, she goes off and sits under a tree by herself, and she listens until she can hear the song of the child that wants to come. And after she's heard the song of this child, she comes back to the man who will be the child's father and teaches it to him. And then, when they make love to physically conceive the child, some of that time they sing the song of the child as a way to invite it. And then, when the mother is pregnant, the mother teaches the child song to the midwives and the old women of the village, so that when the child is born, the old women and the people around her sing the child song to welcome it. And then, as the child grows up, the other villagers are taught the child song. If the child falls or hurts its knee, someone picks the child up and sings its song to him or her. Or perhaps the child does something wonderful or goes through the rites of puberty. Then, as a way of honoring this person, the people of the village sing his or her song. In the African tribe, there is one other occasion upon which the villagers sing to the child. If at any time during his or her life the person commits a crime or an aberrant social act, the individual is called to the center of the village, and the people in the community form a circle around them. Then they sing their song to them. The tribe recognizes that the correction for antisocial behavior is not punishment. It is the remembrance of identity. When you recognize your own song, you have no desire or need to do anything that would hurt another. And it goes this way through their life. In marriage, the songs are sung together. And finally, when this child is lying in bed, ready to die, all the villagers know his or her song, and they sing for the last time the song to that person. So, whatever happened to us in our early life, and I know most of us didn't receive this quality of welcoming, this is what I know for myself and for you. You have your inner song. In fact, better than that, you are your song, here now. You are your song. Even if no one sang it for you, even if no one really saw you properly, wholly, when you arrived, or welcomed you, or treated you the way you deserved, or gave you the space you deserved, consciously respecting and seeing you, you are that song. Here, now. And please hear me, I didn't say you can find that song, or you will find that song. I said, you are that song. You. So this is the reconnection. That you are already it. You are already your song. You survived whatever was difficult, you made it, you actually have made it already, and you are here as you. So our work is not of you becoming something you're not yet. Our work is to see what's in the way of you feeling and seeing the power of what is already here. You. The peace, the beauty, the ease, the playing, the infinity, the aliveness that is you. Just take a moment to feel this line. You are here now, this here. Breathing here, sitting here, being here is that song. Just notice what happens considering that. considering that possibility. And I would really like to point out how infinitesimal is the chance for you, specifically you. Maybe as I speak, put your name there. Specifically, say your name. This one, this person here, to be conceived. How infinitesimal is the chance for this specific person here, you, to be conceived. For that sperm to meet that egg in that moment, in those conditions, for that to happen, so that you, as you, were conceived and then born. How much needs to come together for you, specifically you, to be conceived. Each of us is the manifest result of 1 in 400 trillion possibilities of conception. That's what scientists have estimated. You, specifically you, put your name again there. I am the one who manifested. The one who manifested. It is you who manifested, specifically you. There is no one else like you on this planet. You are so important. Whatever you had to conclude from the difficulties of childhood, not enough, not wanted, not special, not needed, something wrong with me, not meant. They are lies. You are the one who manifested. You are so important. You are the one who is here. So please remember this. You are the one who manifested. You are that song. Even if no one sang it for you when you arrived, you are that song. Please remember that as I explain a little bit about this survival style and what happens when our core deep need is not met from conception to 6 months old, and about the conflict that can keep us from feeling how much I mean, how important I am, me here now, my space, my song, myself. Please remember all these words as I explain some helpful information about this survival style. So the core need from when we are conceived to the early months of babyhood is to feel safe in my body, welcome and wanted. It's the need for deep connection, the need for being received, welcomed into the world, loved and connected to in the right way. It's our need to feel our right to exist, our right to belong, and our right to be here. It's our need for deep connection, and it's fulfilled when there is a deep connection coming to us from our parents. At that stage, of course, we are completely dependent on the caregiver and have a deep need of connection and safety. And also, as our body forms, we have a need to experience that I can be here in my body. And also we have the need to experience as our body forms, and then after we're born, as our body is completely dependent on the caregiver, that I can be here in my body without stress. When these needs are fulfilled, it is easy to embody, to feel that I am in my body and it is safe to be in this body, in this life. That it feels safe to be here and now, to experience what's happening here and now through my body. And it is safe and pleasurable to be alive in this body. We actually get as a compass a positive feeling inside our body that we go to when we need to feel safety and connection. It actually becomes a core feeling inside our cells that we can refer to when we need it. There's a beautiful book that talks about this. It's called The Continuum Concept by Jean Lidloff. And she talks about a tribe in South America where babies are brought up with such deep contact that they develop an incredible self-connection and also an incredible instinct about what's safe and what's not safe, and an incredible sense of okayness. And if this core need is not fulfilled, for survival we have to disconnect. And here I will list a few of the ways in which we disconnect, which get carried into adulthood. But first I'd like to explain some of the reasons for which this need may not be fulfilled. This can be because of early shock or because of relational issues. And I want to give you some examples so this may become clearer. So examples of early shock can be premature birth or a very difficult birth, early surgery, the mother is ill during gestation, or there is a death in the family very early in life or during gestation. Relational issues can be being an unwanted child, or your gender not being wanted, or that the mother is depressed or anxious or dissociated during gestation or early life. To be blamed for the parents' pain, to be rejected, that there is no maturity in the parents to properly care for us. If the mother is abusing substances during gestation or early life, a parent is absent or parents are emotionally unavailable. These are just some examples by which this need can be not fulfilled. And of course, when the experience is either of early shock or some version of not being wanted or connected to, the stress will be quite high for us. And so we have to disconnect from ourselves, from our feeling for survival. And I really like, again, you to remember that it is not what we would ever choose, it is survival. So if you recognize some of the ways of disconnecting, this is what we had to do to get on and fit in and adapt to the external environment. This was about the external environment failing to connect to us and support us in the way that was needed for us. So I'll list a few of the ways in which we disconnect if this need is not fulfilled. And many of these ways become long-lasting traits of this survival style. So you may recognize some. So there is a disconnection from the body feelings. So we are out of our body and more in the head. We cut off from emotion and cut off from what is called social engagement, i.e. connection to others, particularly if we don't feel okay. Or we favor the spiritual plane and we feel we belong elsewhere. There can be strong feelings of shame of existing, or shame of needing to belong, of needing to be wanted, of needing connection. And here are some of the negative conclusions and beliefs about ourselves that come with this survival style. I don't fit in. I'm not wanted. I'm a burden. I'm on the outside looking in. I don't belong anywhere. So just reading this, you may feel these are strong negative beliefs, strong feelings. Please remember these are conclusions made, negative conclusions made from a difficult experience, which was not our responsibility, was not our fault. And the coping behaviors that can come, the survival behavior that can come in this survival style are withdrawing, lack of emotion, a feeling that I need to make it on my own, I need to do it on my own, and need to communicate intellectual or spiritual superiority. So it's a way to take ourselves out of the connection and everyday world and live in a mental dimension or a spiritual dimension. And the NARM identified two typologies for the survival style, the thinking type or the spiritualizing type. The spiritualizing type tends to prefer nature and animals to people, and the sense is the world is not a good place and people are no good, while nature and animals are better. Other behaviors can be the need to control self and the environment, wanting to know the reasons why, intellectualizing, being scared of intimacy, and a strong ambivalence, a deep desire for connection but not daring. A deep desire for connection and at the same time a deep fear of connection. Again, take a moment if you recognize some traits in yourself, but also you could recognize some of these in people that are close to you. And see how the coping behavior is the opposite of the need. So we cope when a need has not been fulfilled. We go to the opposite end. We really needed connection, and we learn to make do without it. We learn to cut off connection and feel that we need to do it on our own. And we, of course, can now see why. But the need beneath is the opposite, is a deep desire to connect. And this is such a core human need. We're mammals. We're made for connection. So the last thing I said is the deep desire for connection, but at the same time a deep fear of it, not daring. And this is the conflict at the core of the survival style. This is the stopper bit. I want to feel. I want to allow myself. I want to connect. I want to include all of me and all my feelings. But if I feel, if I connect to me, to my feelings, it's dangerous. This is what we learned early in life. This is the repetition. If I show my need of connection, if I show that I need to connect to people, it's dangerous. I may be rejected. I may be a burden. So can you hear? This is the early life experience, and yet we can feel it so often in our life right now. And particularly if I need to connect when I'm in difficulty, then it's even more challenging. But this feeling of danger is the child's experience, is the child's feeling. And back then it was true. Back then, feeling all the feelings with no support was dangerous. That vulnerability was difficult. It's the child's consciousness based on the past experience. But right now, it is not true any longer. To feel my feelings, it's not dangerous. The fear is a fear that was felt a long time ago and repeats in the present, so that we believe that if I feel my feelings, it's a deep problem. But this is not true now. Connecting is the most natural thing. Connecting to our own feelings and connecting to others, including connecting to others where we don't feel okay. And it is the old beliefs and the old feelings from a long time ago that turn up again and scare us and stop us from connecting to our feelings now when we actually can. It is not dangerous any longer. The part of us that feels the danger is a little child. And the inner connection is actually always here. It has always been here. Our true feelings are still here. They just got covered up by the conflict, by the fear of a long time ago. The fear that we should not feel, that we should not share, that we should not ask, that even if we long to connect, we should not connect. In fact, what I really want to say from all the work that I've done and from what I watched many people experience, that deep, amazing feeling of the joy of being here in this body, in this life, is actually always there, although often hidden beneath the learned disconnection. That deep, beautiful feeling of being alive in my body is always there, just as the book, the Continuum Concept, describes it for those people brought up in that tribe in South America. It's also there in us. We had a very beautiful experience in a group recently. People were processing, and we actually had this powerful line that people were using to enter a personal process. And the line was, "I've fucking had it with ... And you, of course, can use that line for yourself to check what comes after. And this woman was exploring her desire for happiness and this feeling that was there, but she couldn't fully access, of happiness and enjoyment. And she was present to the requirements of people around her to limit herself, to limit her joy. And she worked with how she wanted to push away. She fucking had it with these limits. And she did so and pushed far away those requirements. And slowly she could access this expansive feeling inside her of presence and joy. And as she took the time, she actually had to lie on the floor and described this sensation of swimming in an ocean of happiness. And all of us, we were sitting in a circle around this, and we could all feel this baby feeling of swimming in an ocean of happiness and love. And she knew that wasn't her original experience, but that experience was so present. And I drew on the board a baby and waves. A pink baby swimming in this ocean of happiness and ease and love. That feeling was so fully there, and the woman was describing this in her mouth, that's this sweet salivating, and others could feel it too, and that's what happens in babies. They really salivate a lot, and it's like a sweet saliva. So take a moment. Those feelings are in us. And learned stuff is simply covering them. We learned to judge ourselves and our feelings, often so harshly, to judge ourselves as useless and wrong, to pull away from our feelings and judge them as wrong and dangerous and not good enough. And I'll repeat it again, those are just conclusions made a long time ago because of adverse circumstances. It wasn't about us. There was nothing wrong with us. And the great news is that you're not there any longer. Just look around. You're here. And it's really okay to have anger about how you are not met, if that comes. Maybe from here, it is possible to start allowing the seeing that some deep needs were not met. But you are here, and you are your song. That baby is now you. So how about welcoming yourself with all your bits, perhaps with all the love and reassurance you would have needed back then when you were little. Just hear this possibility of welcoming yourself this way and feel it, or say it to yourself as I say these words in a moment. These are the words of a client in a session. She came up with these for herself. And of course, she has given me permission to share these words with you, these beautiful words. So imagine saying these words to yourself. Come here. It's okay. I am here. You won't always feel this way. It's okay. You're not alone. I am here. You don't have to do it on your own. I don't want anything from you. Whatever you feel, I am here. It's okay.
chikora ndoro njia lawe mala mishala